If you've ever wondered how I ended up training cats on the internet every December, it started with one very determined little feline. Before anything else, you have to meet Catra. Every December, I participate in Trickmas. There are two colleagues that I follow or two sets of colleagues that I follow that do 25 different tricks across the month. And while most of my work throughout the year is with dogs, Trickmas is always for the cats. And that tradition started years ago with a cat named Catra. She surprised me. I was going to just do a couple of silly things at the top of the month with her before I pulled in the dogs for the hard training stuff. And it was so surprising and fun because not because she learned the tricks, but because she wanted to train. She lit up when the clicker came out. She problem solved and showed me that training is not a dog thing, it's a learner thing. Catra is very much the reason I train cats at Trickmas. She showed me how much they have to teach me about training. This year, my learners are Karma and Soot Sprite, plus a few guest appearances from Fig and Riz where they need to be there. And every single Trickmas day has reinforced the same lesson. Cats make me a better trainer. So here's our cast. We have Karma and Soot Sprite. And the very first Trickmas video this year started with simple skills. We did paw and target. And immediately I had to lean on my fundamentals. Patience is huge when training with cats. Cats are both predators and prey. And that means that they are going to be naturally a lot more sensitive to our movements, a lot more sensitive to being asked to do something or asked to make themselves vulnerable than dogs might be. So new behaviors take a lot of thoughtful steps. Also means a lot of frequent rewards because enthusiasm can be hard won and it's easy to lose. I was spoiled when I had Catra, which is what I have learned with Karma and Soot Sprite. And they need a lot of reinforcement and short, happy sessions to keep up that interest and enthusiasm in training. In that training, there needs to be small increases in expectations. That means that I don't always get to see a final behavior in one Trickmas session, which is also a lesson that I need to learn as a learner. But 1 inch, one moment, one try at a time, seeing that progress over the days, that interest in learning over the days is so rewarding. And especially when I get to revisit behaviors because the other colleagues' Trickmas brings up the same behavior, I love seeing the progression from day to day. It does require some creative solutions because sometimes usual dog training methods fall flat. Cats don't move the same way as dogs. They don't have the same inclinations dogs do. I have to pivot, and I have to pivot quickly. And lastly, just making sure that I'm always keeping in mind the learner that's in front of me. Not the trick I planned, not the behavior I wanted, but what my learner is offering me and what they're telling me. Cats don't tend to push through unclear training the way dogs might. They walk away. So it is my job in training them to be clearer, cleaner, and kinder. So this one was one of the first days, and already I'm challenging myself and the cats doing over and under. This one was a little bit of parkour, but a lot of trust. I had this vision of having the cats go under Fig, and Karma immediately said, absolutely no way. Understanding that she is a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more spatially insecure, I needed to lean on Soot's spatial confidence, understanding what would be challenging for him, what would be nerve-wracking for him. And that was if Fig was moving, if Fig seemed like she might shift. They don't know what I'm asking them to do or why I'm asking them to run underneath their German Shepherd sister. So we had to lean on some targets on either end. So he was a little bit more motivated to go through that. And he had to trust me. And he had to trust his own ability. Working on that recall through the challenging environments is another reason that we put the stations out there on either side. Because lastly, they really needed to have a good sense of where their bodies were and where the dog's body was. So dogs are much more willing, either they might have that body awareness already just through other training. But honestly, most cats have better body awareness than dogs do. but they are also much less willing to just throw their bodies around the way that many dogs are willing to throw their bodies around. Cats don't default to that human-led teamwork, so when they do follow a cue, you know that you've earned it. So we worked on over with Karma, just on a little A-frame that unfortunately was partially out of screen, and worked on Soot going underneath Fig. And then we worked on Spin. Spin is probably one of my favorite examples of quiet skills inside of a flashy trick. And of course, I had to do a little bit with Fig. It's one of her favorite tricks. It's also one of Riz's favorite tricks. And Soot's is kind of starting to get the hang of it. But it really, really, really rests on confidence following a hand target and being able to sustain attention. One thing that with dogs, when they're moving very quickly and willing to move very quickly, you might see them occasionally get distracted as they spin out away from your visibility. But with Soot, it's really, really obvious that he is getting stuck the moment that he leaves my visual field. And sustaining that attention and engagement while he is not facing me, while he's not directly interacting with me, is a challenging piece of this behavior that I don't think I ever would have singled out only working with dogs. And then lastly, a benefit of working Spin is building in some full body stretching. Is a real welfare benefit, especially for behaviors for animals who lounge a lot and maybe don't get the same level of exercise that they might if they were outside or if they were being more readily exercised. This is also a really great split between Soot Sprite's quick but burns out style. He was able to very quickly get a couple of repetitions in, and then we switched over to Fig's kind of deliberate awareness of the behavior in her heel and Riz's somewhat chaotic enthusiasm. And then we came back to shake or paw. And this is one of my favorite days because it is the second day we worked on this. So you can really see the growth in Karma from one day to the other. Shake is adorable, but for cats and really any small animal, it's also really meaningful. Not only does it kind of highlight their problem solving skills, it requires an active try something behavior. You're only going to get so far with a shake if you are constantly moving the animal's hand. At some point, you have to wait for them or encourage them to move your hand, especially on this day where we started alternating between paws. And you can see she's very, very ready to offer her left paw. She struggles a little bit more to offer her right. It's also a great skill to build for choice-based grooming because with smaller animals, they're likely to be more hesitant to have you handle their paws. Asking them to give you their paw and then practice that handling is a great cooperative care foundation. And then we're also just building general handling comfort and confidence. Shaping this with your cat gives you a very clear picture of how they perceive consent, gives you a very clear understanding of what movements they do mind on their body and what they really don't. And Karma really shines here. She's slower to start. She needs to be very thoughtful in her learning. I think patience is probably the biggest highlight of her behaviors, but she is so focused when she understands the task, and she really, really, really works to figure things out as she's training. As you can see in her open a box behavior, this was peak cat enrichment, but also some excellent behavior work. Being able to physically manipulate an object is confidence and independence in action. Karma not only had to problem solve on how to access the treats and how to access reinforcement, but had to be confident enough to manipulate a new object, had to work independently from me. There was really only so much luring that I could do to bring her into the box. She had to make that choice for herself. And it rewards the curiosity. And so it builds that confidence and independence. So not only is it reflecting it, it's also building more confidence and independence. So cats naturally, they can be exploratory, but turning that exploration into structured learning is incredibly rewarding and showing them that they do get rewarded for that bold curiosity, even if it doesn't necessarily come as naturally to them. And then we worked on dig. And digging highlighted how important it is to understand each animal's relationship with rewards. So for Riz, who you'll see later in the video, he had a very clear and immediate understanding that the treat was underneath the blanket, and that very quickly he got the idea that scratching at the blanket got him access to treats, and the scent of the treat was worth digging for. When cats dig, it's usually more about scent marking. It's usually more about covering their own waste than it is about caching treats or finding food. So, is a super different relationship with rewards and expectations surrounding what might happen with digging. So, because cats don't push through the friction the way the dogs will, we worked with what they were willing to offer, which was a much more gentle dig, like they would be digging at a litter box. I put it in a box, so it was more reminiscent of that. So every learner needed a little bit of a different approach. Soots, as usual, was very ready to hop in and explore this new object presented to him. And Karma needed some time to watch, learn from what Soots was doing, participate in a little bit of social learning, and then she was willing to try it out herself. Across every Trickmas session this week, I saw the same growth, but that was growth in me. I saw my mechanics improve and timing improve. Cats demand a lot of clarity, and if your timing is sloppy, they leave and they are not always willing to come back to the table. I saw the need for creative training solutions. Nothing about the cats is standard dog training, and every session is a new puzzle. And I saw enhanced relationships, creating communication, building trust, and bringing joy to all of us. I have so much fun training the cats. And that really is the whole quest log. Catra started this tradition. Karma and Soot Sprites are continuing it. And every year, Trickmas makes me a better trainer for cats, for dogs, and for every learner in front of me. You should subscribe for more case studies, more real world training tips. And if you want to follow along with the rest of our Trickmas, you can check out my social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook stories. It's always posted there every day up through December 25th. I'll see you there.